The colony ship Perseverance had been drifting through the Kethra Nebula for 3 weeks when John first saw the creature. It wasn't supposed to be there, nothing was supposed to be there except cosmic dust and dying stars. Yet here it was, clinging to the observation deck's exterior hull, its translucent body pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that seemed almost hypnotic. Another stowaway, Captain Rodriguez muttered over the com. That's the 5th one this month. The Keth really don't want us passing through their territory. John pressed his hand against the reinforced glass, watching the creature's tendrils wave in the vacuum. The Keth were territorial, yes, but they weren't usually aggressive. They were hunters, apex predators of the nebula, but they followed rules humans were only beginning to understand. This one's different, John said. It's small, juvenile, maybe, still dangerous. Protocol says we vent it. John's jaw tightened. Protocol, always protocol. That's what had gotten humanity exiled from a dozen systems, already following protocols written by bureaucrats who'd never left Earth's atmosphere. Give me 20 minutes. John, 20 minutes. Captain, if I'm wrong, you can vent us both. The airlock hissed as John cycled through, his EVA suit's systems humming to life. The Kethra Nebula wasn't empty, it was full of particulate matter that could shred an unprotected human in seconds. But John had spent 2 years studying the Keth. He'd learned their patterns, their language of color and movement. He knew what other humans refused to accept. The Keth weren't monsters. They were just protecting their young. The juvenile Keth didn't flee as John approached. Its body rippled from deep purple to pale blue fear colors. John kept his movements slow, deliberate. He'd brought something from the hydroponics bay, a sample of earth moss, still damp with water. The Keth consumed organic matter for nutrients, and moss was as close as he could get to the nebula algae. They fed on. He placed the moss on the hull and backed away. The juvenile's tendrils extended cautiously, tasting the air or what passed for air in its perception. Then it moved, faster than John expected, engulfing the moss. The colors shifted to warm amber, contentment. Okay, little one, John whispered. Let's get you home. He'd spent weeks mapping the Keth migration routes. There was a nursery cluster 3 kilometers off the ship's port side. He'd spotted it on long-range scans, but hadn't reported it. If Command knew there was a Keth nursery nearby, they'd alter course, add weeks to their journey. But this juvenile needed to get back before its colony marked it as lost. John activated his suit's propulsion system and gently herded the creature away from the ship. It resisted at first, then seemed to understand. They moved together through the glittering darkness, the juvenile's bioluminescence casting strange shadows across John's visor. He didn't see her until she was already there. The adult Keth materialized from the nebula like a nightmare-given form. She was massive, easily 50 times the juvenile's size, with tendrils that could crush his suit's reinforced plating. Her body blazed crimson, raged out. John froze. This was it. This was how he did dissolved in the nebula. Another casualty of humanity's inability to coexist. But she didn't attack him. She moved past him, her tendrils coiling around the juvenile, pulling it close. The color exchange between them was rapid, complex communication far beyond human understanding. Then she turned to John, and her body language shifted to something he'd never seen before. She hissed up with sound, but with a pulse of electromagnetic energy that made his suit's sensors scream. Then she snatched the juvenile back, positioning herself between it and John. Her colors flashed angry red, then shifted to a pattern he'd recorded before, danger-warning-contamination. And suddenly, John understood. Your sense on him, idiot. Elsa's voice crackled over the com. She'd been monitoring from the ship, watching through his suit's camera feed. She's saying you've marked it. Predators mark their prey. John's heart hammered. He'd touched the juvenile, fed it, guided it. From the Huntress's perspective, he'd claimed it, and now she thought he was competing for her offspring. John, get out of there, Elsa urged. She was the colony's xenobiologist, the one person who'd supported his Keth research. She's not going to. The Huntress moved, but she didn't attack. Instead, she extended a single tendril toward John, the tip splitting into hundreds of hair-thinned. They touched his suit, sampling, analyzing. Her colors shifted rapidly, red to purple to blue to green to something John had never seen, a shimmering gold that seemed to pulse with its own light. Recognition. She'd analyzed his biological signature, cross-referenced it with her species' vast genetic memory. She knew he wasn't Keth, knew he wasn't prey, knew he was something else entirely, a creature that had helped return her young. The Huntress withdrew her tendril and pulsed a new color pattern. Her body language relaxed. The juvenile drifted to her side, already mimicking her movements. She's apologizing. Elsa's voice was breathless. John, she's actually apologizing. The color sequence, it's a recognition pattern. She's acknowledging you as, I don't even know the word, not pack, not prey, something in between. John slowly raised his hand, palm out, the universal gesture of peace, though he had no idea if she'd understand. The Huntress mirrored the gesture with her tendril. Then she and the juvenile dissolved back into the nebula, their bioluminescence fading like dying stars. John floated there for a long moment, his breath ragged in his helmet. John, Elsa's voice was gentle now. Come home. He activated his propulsion and turned back toward the Perseverance. Behind him, the nebula pulsed with distant lights, thousands of them. The Keth, watching, waiting, learning that perhaps humanity wasn't just another predator to be driven away. When John cycled through the airlock, Elsa was waiting. She pulled off his helmet, her eyes bright. You just made first contact, she said. Real first contact, not the kind where we show up with guns and protocols. The kind where we just ... helped. John nodded, too exhausted to speak. Through the observation deck windows, he could see the nebula's edge. In another day, they'd be through it, leaving Keth's space behind. But something had changed. A boundary had been crossed, not with weapons or treaties, but with a simple act of returning a lost child to its mother. Maybe that's what humanity did best, not conquering or colonizing, but recognizing that even in the cold darkness of space, a parent's love for their child was universal, and sometimes, that was enough.